Jesus prays on the Mount of Olives. As was his custom, Jesus went out to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he reached the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not come into the time of trial." Then he withdrew from them, about a stone's throw, knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and gave him strength. In his anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down on the ground. When he got up from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping because of grief. And he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you may not come into the time of trial."
The reflection. Lord, when we are tired, as the disciples were, when our thoughts are scattered and unfocused, help us to pray. When our lives are just too comfortable and we don't feel any urgency, heighten our awareness of evil and the suffering in our world, and teach us to pray more earnestly. When we really don't want to think about your Father's will for us, when we are quite happy fulfilling our own desires, give us a sense of your Father's holiness, and help us to long for the coming of your kingdom, and for your Father's will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. Help us to do what he asks of us.
Lovely.
The betrayal and arrest of Jesus. Second reading. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived, with him a large crowd from the chief priests and the elders of the people, with swords and clubs. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "The one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him." At once he came up to Jesus and said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you are here to do." Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and arrested him. Then all the disciples deserted him and fled.
Lord, it must have hurt to be betrayed by a friend, yet you still call him friend. And you call us friends, even though we betray you, with our easy words and good intentions. You have revealed the Father to us, and called us to live as your disciples. We have been slow to understand and to hear your call, yet you still call us friends. Help us to trust in you and to receive your forgiveness, so that we may not despair as Judas did.
Then they led him away, bringing him into the high priest's house. But Peter was following at a distance. When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, "This man was also with him." But he denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, someone else, on seeing him, said, "You also are one of them." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." Then, about an hour later yet, another kept insisting, "Surely this man also was with him, for he is a Galilean." Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." At that moment, while Peter was still speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord and how he had said to him, "Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Well, yeah?
Find this car for me.
Then Pilate took James and had him flogged. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head. And they dressed him in a purple robe. They kept coming up to him and saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and striking him on the face. "Lord, you came to a world scarred by violence and hatred, where your people inflicted suffering on each other and uttered blasphemy against their God. Today our world is still scarred with that same violence and blasphemy. The cry for justice goes out from every victim of crime, war, greed, prejudice and indifference. And yet you come to show us that it does not have to be like this. You took upon yourself our divisions and hostilities. You were crushed by the sins of the world, and yet you rose above them. For our sake you suffered at the hands of evil men, suffered more than we can imagine. You know what evil men and women are capable of. Save us from cruelty and blindness, from blasphemy and cynicism, and from the lust for violence or power. Help us to work with you, to ease the sufferings of our world, as we long for your reign of justice and
peace. Reflection 3. Lord, none of us likes to stand out from the crowd, with constant pressure to conform, from the media, from our families and friends, from our work colleagues or neighbours. From our curiosity and our lack of self-confidence, we are easily led by the latest fads and fashions. Without thinking of you and afraid only for ourselves, we give in and ignore you. You have called us to be your witnesses in the world, yet we act as if we did not know you. Lord, turn your face to us and have mercy on us. Blessed are you, Lord, you look with compassion on your people. Blessed be God forever.